Let's get ready to mortgage. He is the prince of programs, guru of guidelines, master of matrices. He puts the fun in funding. Please welcome Mark, Mr. Mortgage, Eitel.
All right. Hey guys, it's Mark Eitel here, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show. And man, we've got an awesome show lined up for you this week. We are going to get uncomfortable. We're going to dig into the numbers. We're going to talk about a controversial topic and some big numbers. So settle in. This one's going to be great. Guys, if you've got questions or comments along the way, just call or text 855-462-7292. That's the Anytime Hotline, 855-462-7292. We always appreciate your participation, and I think this week we'll give you something to talk about for sure. If you prefer to shoot us an email, just head over to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the email icon, and you can shoot your questions over to Jen, who is womanning the hotline and womanning the email line, and she will read your questions on the air for you. But guys, let's dive right in. You know it's my goal each week to give you the information, not emotional, right? We don't talk about the crazy headlines. We dig deep. We get down to the data where we can make some really good decisions, and we want you to have the info that you need so you can make better decisions for you and your family when it comes to real estate and mortgages. Because man, there's some awesome stuff on TikTok, but not all of it's real estate or mortgage advice. I see some crazy stuff on there, and I know people personally who I've spoken to who 2 years ago decided to wait the market out because they were convinced it was going to crash based on something they saw on one of those platforms. And guess what, guys? It didn't crash, and they cost themselves a ton of equity. And more importantly, now with the increased interest rates, a lot of opportunity costs. So anyway, because of all that, we try to strip the emotion out of it and just get down to the data, because that's my favorite part. So let's dive right in. Guys, there's a lot of chatter right now about the consumer debt load, right? Credit card debt just clipped $1 trillion. Man, that fascinates me. That's a huge number. There are only 331 million and some change people in this country. That means for every man, woman, child, every newborn infant right now who's getting their umbilical cord cut, that's $3,000 worth of credit card debt. Man, that's crazy to me. But it got me thinking. Last week, we went deep on the percentage of the population that owns a home, the ridiculous amount of equity, and we've got some updated numbers when it comes to that the people have, and their average interest rate on their mortgage, and because of that, they don't want to sell. Well, also because of that, a lot of people are convinced doing a debt consolidation refi doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, here's the thing, guys. When you're looking at your debt, you need to look at all of it. Because if you've got a 26% credit card payment or a 15% car payment or a 10.5% equity line payment, and you can get a mortgage in the 6s or 7s, probably strongly in the 6s, that starts to make sense, even though it might currently be a lot lower. So let's dive into that, because last week we talked about the average outstanding mortgage had an interest rate of 3.94%. So all of this fascinates me. So I painted a scenario of an average client who I'm seeing in my practice every day. And I don't mean an average person. I just mean some person who doesn't exist. It's an avatar. This is an accumulation of data based on several people. And this avatar, if you will, has a $190,000 mortgage with 28 years left on it. So they refied 2 years ago and got a 4% interest rate. Well, they're also, if they're average, they've got about $274,000 in equity based on the most recent data that was in Forbes. Ooh, that's a big number. That's a lot of equity. So they've got a ton of equity. They owe $190 at 4%, which is a $907 a month principal and interest. Ooh, that's a low payment. I get it. You don't want to let that one go. But Mr. and Mrs. Average here also have a 26.45% interest rate credit card with a $15,000 balance. That requires a minimum payment of $375. They have an 11% interest rate on their car. That's $652 a month. and they've got a $15,000 equity line that they remodeled their kitchen with, and they're paying $150 a month on that, interest only, by the way. So here we go. We've painted the scenario. Well, they need roughly 60 grand to pay off their consumer debt. So just to use round numbers for illustration, we said they have a $190,000 loan at 4%, which is a $907 principal and interest payment. If they took a $250,000 mortgage at 6.5%, their monthly payment jumps to $1,580. That's a big jump. A lot of people will stop the conversation right there. But hold your horses. We're going to dive into the data because this is where it gets super, super interesting. A $375 a month credit card payment, a $652 a month car payment, and $150 on that pesky equity line is $1,177 a month. We increased the principal and interest payment on the mortgage by $673. That means they're still saving $504 a month by doing a debt consolidation refi at a time, by complete coincidence, that I believe it was CNBC said the average American could not absorb a $500 unexpected expense right now today without having to pull a credit card out. Guys, $500 a month means a lot to a lot of people. And these are relatively low numbers because we see credit card debt a lot larger balances than that when we're evaluating people's mortgage applications. So in this scenario, they're saving $500 a month and wiping out all the consumer debt. Now, somebody out there is jumping up and down right now saying, yeah, but that car would have paid off in 4 or 5 years. You're right. You're right. But here's something else. That credit card payment wasn't going to pay off for 384 months. That's crazy to me. That's over 30 years on that credit card payment. And that interest-only payment on the HELOC is only allowed for 10 years. And then it converts to a 10 or 20-year loan term, depending on the product. So based on that, that wasn't getting paid off quickly. But I get it. I'll roll with that argument. You're right. You extended the debt. But what if you took that $500 a month savings and put it back on the principal? You would reduce the term of the mortgage down to 16 years. I think it's 16 year, 4 months. I believe it's 16 years and 4 months exactly. Man, that fascinates me. That's looking at the data and not the emotion attached to a ridiculously low interest rate. Now, here's one other thing that people don't take into consideration. Cash out proceeds to pay off debt or otherwise is not taxable. So there's no income tax on that. So one thing I haven't shared with you yet this week is the average U.S. salary is 60 grand in this country. $60,000 also carries a 22% tax rate. So in order to pay off $60,000 in debt, you would have to earn an additional 22%, or I think it's like $73,000 and change. So the spending power of a borrowed dollar in the form of a cash out refi is 22% greater than an earned dollar. And we don't talk about that. We talk about, yeah, but I've got a 4% interest rate. Guys, I'm not trying to encourage you to do it, and I'm not trying to encourage you not to do it. What I am trying to do is encourage you to remove the emotion from the equation and look purely at the data. But yeah, I'm hoping that got the gray matter stirred up, and we're going to grab some questions on the other side of this break. But you hear the music, you know what that means. That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show. So you think interest rates have gotten too high to refi? Well, not so fast. There are several reasons people refinance. Sure, lowering your interest rate is one, but there's debt consolidation, home improvement, unexpected medical expenses, pulling out some equity to go buy an investment property. Heck, I even know of one guy who refinanced his house so he could buy his mistress a condo. But let's jump back to debt consolidation for a minute. I'm working with a client right now. His name is Ben. He's going to refinance his house, pay off a host of credit cards, and 2 truck payments. And yes, his mortgage interest rate is going to go up, but his monthly expenses are going to go down significantly. And that monthly savings is going to get he and his family back on track. Guys, if you've got questions, check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. I host the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are always here and happy to help. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Don't let realtor commissions eat away at your hard-earned equity. With FSBOzilla, you can save thousands by doing it yourself. Avoid the tire kickers and pushy realtors. Meet FSBOzilla, your free, no-strings-attached guide to selling your home by owner. You're a do-it-yourselfer, and we respect that. No more dealing with time wasters, tire kickers, or unqualified buyers, and definitely no more pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. With FSBOzilla, you won't have to worry about showing your home to unqualified time wasters. We help you navigate the for-sale by owner process safely and securely. FSBOzilla, the commission killer, putting the power back in your hands and the equity back in your pocket. Visit fsbozilla.com today, FSBOzilla, because you can do it yourself and we're here to help. Check out fsbozilla.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. Jen, did you see that? I saw that too. Guys, we just got a text on the Anytime hotline from that website Roman, which sells men's products, the little blue pill as well as the hair growth gel. And I guess everybody knows how old I am now. I'm not taking that personally. But anyway, I can't stop laughing. Mark Eitel here, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. Guys, questions or comments other than offering me blue pills or hair regrowth serum, you can call or text 855-462-7292. That's the Anytime hotline, and Jen is womanning that hotline, 855-462-7292, or shoot us an email, and you can do that by visiting MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. And scroll to the bottom of the page, click that email icon, and you can shoot your questions to us via email. Jen will read them on the air for you. But hey, Jen, are you ready back there to kick this off?
Let's get this party started.
You heard her, guys. We are going to launch this missile. So, Jen, throw me the first question, if you would.
Terrence wants to know, what is the minimum credit score for a rec refinance? My first plan was a HELOC, but the bank says I need a 740. My score is only 687. Will this work?
Hey, Terrence. Yes, that will work. And guys, that's something we didn't even touch on in the opening segment. So, Terrence, thanks, brother, for that question, because there's so many moving parts to what's happening right now in the mortgage world. You see that credit availability is pulling back. Well, one of the first places it's pulling back seems to be equity lines. So a lot of the local and regional banks have pulled back the percentage of the value that they will loan on a piece of property. And there's a term called CLTV, which is combined loan to value. So that takes your first mortgage position as a percentage, and then they'll give you additional funds on top of that for a CLTV, which we're seeing now pulled back to 80%. You couple that with an increase in the minimum credit score. And these aren't like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA products. So all of the equity line lenders, if you will, have a slightly different set of rules. So in Terrence's instance, they've increased the credit score requirement. The good news is, if you want to do a rec refi, which is the debt consolidation refi that we talk about all the time, Reduce, Eliminate, and Consolidate, REC, that's the acronym for this particular loan program, you can definitely do a rec refinance with a 687 credit score. So in some instances, far, far lower than that. So I would encourage a conversation if you fall in this same scenario. But Terrence, thanks for that question, my man. I hope that gives you some encouragement. I would welcome the opportunity to walk you through the process. Just reach out to us off the air if you'd like to talk further. But thanks for that one. Hey, Jen, do you have another question?
Gerald and Emily emailed us asking, is the interest on a reverse mortgage tax deductible?
Wow, that is a great, great question, man. I don't think we've gotten that one on the air before. And just as I mentioned with the refinance, that the money you pull out isn't taxable as earnings, right? It's not considered a taxable income event. The same thing applies for a reverse mortgage as far as having no income taxes due on what you take out. But here's the thing. Mortgage interest on a cash out refinance or a debt consolidation refinance is indeed tax deductible. Now, with the reverse mortgage, that interest is accruing. You're not making a monthly payment. So because you're not making the payment, the interest isn't deductible until you make that payment. So it's not until you move out of the property. So if you were to downsize it later, sell the property, and then pay that mortgage off, the interest would become deductible then. I hope that makes sense. I kind of complicated that answer a bit, but it's not tax deductible until you pay it. And because it accrues, you don't pay it until the end. So I'd love to talk to you in length about that if you have more questions. But brilliant, brilliant question. I appreciate you asking that. Hey, Jen, do you have another question ready? Okay, I guess we got a few back there. Go ahead.
Palmer sent this. I've seen some videos online saying I can buy my rate down 1% by paying a point. If this is true, can I buy my rate down to 4.5% by paying 3 points? Why is everyone not doing this?
Hey, Palmer, brilliant question. Wonderful observation. But no, it's not a one-to-one exchange, if you will. 1 point on your mortgage doesn't buy your interest rate down 1 full percent, or everybody would be doing it. Can you imagine that? If you had a $300,000 mortgage and you got a $10,000 seller contribution, so you're buying a house somewhere, anyway, an average house, right? And you take that seller contribution and you take $9,000, you can't buy your mortgage rate down from 7.5 to 4.5 or from 7 to 4. It's much, much closer to a 3-to-1 ratio, meaning those 3 percentage points will buy your rate down 1%. So you might get from 7 to 6 with 3 points, but you're not getting from 7 to 4 for 3 points. And agents notoriously get this one wrong. And I don't know if they're just trying to encourage conversation or if they truly just misunderstand the math, because the mortgage math definitely trips a lot of people up. But that's a brilliant, brilliant question. And you're right. If it was that simple, everybody would be doing it. Now, that being said, there are several variations of the buy down. You can buy the rate down permanently with one fee paid up front. You buy the rate down and it stays at that interest rate for the entire term of the loan. So if you bought it from 7 down to 6, you have a 6% 30-year fixed rate. There's a 3-2-1 buy down, which maybe is what you were seeing on the internet, where it's 3% lower the first year, 2% the second, and 1%. So it's from 7% to 4% for year 1, 5% for year 2, 6% for year 3, and then it goes back to 7, and it stays there for the life of the loan. So in that instance, you may have seen that example, but still, 1 point won't get you down 1 point. But Palmer, I appreciate that question, my man. That one gets super confusing and a lot of people get that one wrong. So if you want to walk through a specific scenario, just call me off the air and we'll do the math together. I appreciate that one. Guys, you hear the music, you know what that means. That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show. Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and I'm going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you know any friends, family, coworkers, or the guy in front of you at the grocery line who's talking or thinking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to help me spread the word, introduce them to me, to the team. You can do that by simply sharing MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Now, back to the commercials.
Here's another 5-star review.
We started our loan with a different company. They said we were approved, but at the last minute they told us there was a problem. I still don't know what went wrong, but thankfully our real estate agent told us about Mark. I was pretty stressed, but it's the perfect house, so we gave Mark a shot. He got it done. I'm not sure what was different, but I don't really care. We even got a better interest rate and with less money out of pocket than the first guy quoted us. It was a great surprise. Yes, I'm happy to recommend Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team.
Have you recently gotten a mortgage approval and now you're wondering, how do you know if it's a good deal? I mean, the wrong decision can cost tens of thousands of dollars in fees and interest rate. Is any of this negotiable? Is this a good rate? Guys, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are happy at no cost or obligation to you to take a look at that fee sheet for you. We'll go line by line through it, and one of three things will happen. One, we may congratulate you on getting an awesome deal, and then you can exhale and move forward knowing you did great. Or two, we may be able to point out some places in that fee sheet that you can go back and renegotiate a better deal with your current lender. Or three, and guys, this one's my favorite, we may be able to offer you even a better deal, saving you in fees or interest rate or both. Guys, there's no obligation. Just go to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Click on that fee sheet review icon and we'll do the rest. It's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you heard the man. If you have questions or comments, just call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That's the Anytime Hotline. Use that number, and Jen will get your questions on the air. If you prefer to shoot us an email, just head over to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click that email icon, and you can send us your questions that way, and Jen will read them on the air for you. And man, we started the show off out of the box with some awesome questions. So I'm going to toss it over to Jen right now, and let's keep the questions rolling. Go ahead, Jen.
Here's an email from Jill. Hi, guys. Love the show. Is the landlord loan the same as a hard money loan?
Hey, Jill, thanks for that. No, they're not. So a hard money loan is typically like a private investor or an investment trust that will loan money at a slightly higher interest rate. And it's typically a shorter term, meaning you might have a 1, 2, or 3 year balloon. And it acts almost like a bridge. It's a great opportunity to get a property, get the property renovated, resold, or get the property renovated, get the rents up, and then take it out with a more traditional loan program, which the landlord loan would fall under. So the landlord loan is a 30 or 40 year fixed rate mortgage. It may or may not have an interest only option for the first 10 years. That's the 40-year one, right? It's 10 years interest only, and then it becomes a 30-year fixed rate. The interest rate doesn't change. It just transitions from interest only to a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. But it's very, very much like a traditional mortgage. It just has some more liberal underwriting guidelines, and it's designed specifically for the income producing properties. So there's some fix and flip loans in that landlord loan portfolio of products as well, but very, very different than hard money. And I don't really like that term hard money because that implies that there's easy money out there. And I just haven't found that yet in my life. Darn it. I'm looking. I just haven't found it. So I appreciate that question, Jill. If you need more info, we are here and always happy to help. Hey, Jen, throw me another question.
Here's an email from Jocelyn. I like your suggestion about using some of the commission we save selling by owner to help the buyers with cost and rate buy downs. Is there a max we can give to them?
Hey, Jocelyn, that's a great question. Yes, there is. It depends on the loan program that the buyer is utilizing. So it's a tough one for me to answer. If you're already in the process and you've got a buyer that you're working with, I'd be happy to answer the questions for them, but it's going to range depending on the loan program, on average between 3 and 6%. There are some scenarios where that can go higher, but almost all of the time, if you are working with someone buying the home for themselves to live in, it's going to fall somewhere in that range. And they can use that contribution to help with their closing costs, or where a lot of people are gaining a lot of ground with it is in buying the interest rate down. And we talked about that a few questions ago, because buying the rate down makes a huge difference in comparison on the monthly payment than just lowering the purchase price. So lowering the purchase price $10,000 moves the needle a little bit each month, but taking that $10,000 and buying the rate down, say 1 full percentage point, that makes a big, big difference in the monthly payments. And a lot of people are doing exactly what you're talking about because they've got a little more flexibility in the price because they're not paying a real estate commission. And with that savings, if you will, they're passing it on and making their property a little more attractive to buyers because that pad, if you will, that wiggle room is built in. So brilliant question. I'd be happy to walk you through specifics once you've got a little more detail about the buyer's loan program. But I appreciate that one. Hey, Jen, can you throw me another question?
Michelle sent us this one. Can I get a reverse mortgage if I still owe money on my home?
Hey, Michelle, that's a great question. Yes, you can. You can pay your existing mortgage off as part of the reverse mortgage, and whatever's left in available equity to you, you can set up in that credit line format. You can receive monthly payments or a lump sum. Assuming there's enough equity to pay off that first mortgage, you will not have a problem with a property that has an existing mortgage. You just need enough equity to make it work. People are doing it all the time. So brilliant question. I appreciate that one. Hey, Jen, do we have time for another?
Tina sent us an email. I'm on the FSBOzilla site. I can't figure out how to download the book. Can you help?
Well, you know why? Because you can't download the book from the website. We need to put that on there. They have to recode the site to make that work, but there should be a red link on there that says request your copy. A name and an email address is all you have to put in there, and they'll email you over the book. And then the 4 how-to guides. Don't forget about those. Make sure you ask for the 4 how-to guides. So, guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, we wrote a book and put a website together called FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer. And Jocelyn had a question a minute ago on saving some commission so you can buy the interest rate down or help a buyer get into a property. Sometimes gives you additional flexibility. So the website is FSBOzilla.com, and you can download the book and the 4 how-to guides, which will help you through the process. And guys, we go as far as to offer all of the pre-approval services for you when you go down the FSBOzilla route. We'll answer the phone calls so you don't get pestered in the middle of your Sunday for somebody who wants to be there to, in an hour, you got to show me the house. You don't have to deal with any of that. So check out FSBOzilla.com and you'll know what we're talking about. And then hit that red bar. We'll send you over a copy of the book and the 4 how-to guides, which are curb appeal, staging, the most common little repairs that you need to look for, touch-up paint, caulking, those things. And then the most important one is how to take really good photographs for your listing with just your cell phone. And the last chapter of the book tells you how to put your property on Zillow for free so you can get the exposure for the people. So great question. I hope that helps. And guys, this is not for everybody. I totally respect the role that agents play, but I also am one of those guys at Home Depot every weekend who sees the truck full of lumber, knowing that guy is a do-it-yourselfer and he's going to save a lot of money by building his own deck, remodeling his own kitchen. Heck, I've got a friend who built his own beautiful 2.5-story home, giant pole barn, probably a $2 million property. At that point in his life, he had never built a home. Some people have the ability to do the extra and save a lot. And when you look at where property values are and you look at the percentages that you can save, we're talking about real money. This isn't $1,500 there and $500 here. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. And sometimes having that additional money gives you the flexibility to make a deal work where there might not have been enough room prior to it. So guys, I'm going to leave that right there. We are getting a lot of love and a lot of hate about that. There are some agents that aren't too happy with us, but guys, if you get down the FSBOzilla process and you decide an agent is the right route for you, we are part of the Really Great Agents Network and we can help you with that too. But there is no hook. There's no catch. It's super, super easy. Check the book out. Let me know if you have questions. We'll walk you through it. But you hear the music? That means it's time to take a quick break. On the other side of this short break, we'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to FSBOzilla, the commission killer. FSBOzilla is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOzilla.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOzilla.com. FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOzilla.com.
Raise your hand if you are freaked out by what's happening in the banking world. Well, no, put your hands back on the steering wheel. It's all starting to feel like a house of cards. And what about that $17 billion, yes, billion with a B, dollars worth of bondholder money that was lost in that Credit Suisse takeover? Right now, I'm hearing more and more people talk about a flight to safety, and they're looking at gold and silver and other precious metals, but also rental property. Yep, income-producing rental property is starting to become sexy again. Guys, we've got an amazing loan program called the Landlord Loan. It's an easy way to acquire rental property. If you've got good credit and the assets, we don't even look at your personal income. We look at the income produced by the property. Assuming that it supports the debt, boom, you're a landlord. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005, and my team and I are here and happy to help. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you heard the man. If you have questions, call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime Hotline. And Jen is womanning the hotline. She will get your questions on the air for you. If you prefer to shoot us an email, just head over to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. Click that email icon, and you can shoot your questions over that way. I just looked out the window. There is an angry mob of real estate agents with burning torches chanting, get him, walking around the outside of the studio. Thank God we're on the second floor here. We're well protected. I'm kidding. For the most part, we're getting a really positive feedback from everybody involved, and we're having a lot of fun with it, guys. So if you've got questions regarding that program, guys, I'm talking about the buy owner program. It's not for everybody. Absolutely not for everybody. But if you think you're cut out for it, check that out. I'd love to know what you think, and we'll answer any questions. All right, guys, speaking of questions, let's get right to them. I know we've got some stacked up back there. So throw one my way, Jen. Go ahead.
Matt sent us this. What's the difference between a cash out refinance and a traditional refinance when consolidating debt?
Hey, that's a great question. So actually, I don't think either of those are technically debt consolidation refis. So usually with a cash out refi, you just want a chunk of money. So you're going to go refinance for a higher amount, and 3 days after closing, you're going to be able to cash that check because there's a rescission period in case you change your mind. That's a cash out refi. You just increase your loan balance and in this market, presumably your interest rate, and you take that cash and go do whatever you want with it. Cash out refi. A traditional refi, I think by definition, is one that's strategic in nature in the sense that you're trying to lower your interest rate or lower your monthly payment, or sometimes a combination of both, obviously, right? So we saw a lot of that during the bottoming of the interest rate environment during the pandemic. I think the most of those were classed as what you would call a traditional refi, if you will. I just want to lower I want to lower my interest, I want to lower my monthly payments. And then the debt consolidation, our Rec Refi program that we've got, or any debt consolidation program for that matter, is reducing your consumer debt. You're taking some of that equity, so kind of like a cash out refi, and you're paying off your other debts and lowering your total monthly payments. So a traditional refi lowers your mortgage payment or your mortgage interest rate, or maybe pays you off quicker. A cash out refi puts the cash in your pocket, and a debt consolidation loan kind of does both. The cash gets applied to some of your debts, and in some instances, you can take some additional equity out, so you do have some cash to go do something else with. So I think by definition, those are probably the three refis. I hope that helps. I do think there's a third category there, and that's more the debt consolidation loan than the other two. So I hope that answers your question. If you need more info, just call us back or shoot us a text, and I'll try to clarify. But I appreciate that. Go ahead, Jen. Do you have another one?
Shawnee emailed this. I'm very interested in the FSBOzilla program, but I have a couple agents telling me FSBO is a nightmare. They shared a few horror stories. Any last-minute words of encouragement? Thanks.
So, hey, Shawnee, that's a great question. Go with your gut. If you're not cut out for it, then hire an agent, because there is a lot of work. What did I say? It's not easy, but it's simple, right? There's some simple steps to doing it. So I recently listened to an interview with a very well-respected real estate team that was talking about the three major difficulties in selling by owner. And I couldn't agree more with the three, but the three they listed were the risk of selling your property for less than it's worth. And they used a statistic that the average agent can get somewhere around 7% more than the average for sale by owner. And I'm not sure where that came from, but I found that interesting. They talked about the safety issues, which I think is huge, because you don't want to let strangers in your home under any circumstances, by owner or not. And having an agent who presumably vets these people is helpful. But with the open house strategy, that's a little more difficult, because you have people just driving by, seeing the open house, and they come in. And then the third thing they pointed out, which is super valid, and why we do this program, is unqualified buyers. Why would you let somebody who's not qualified to buy your home walk through your home? That makes no sense. So in that sense, I agree with all three of those points. But the FSBOzilla program addresses all of that, in my mind, in a very comprehensive way. So the value portion of it is solved by the free value report that we run, the Canary report, which is lender data. And it's, 10 or 12 pages of data that shows you a market range. And then we refine it with the assistance of an appraiser, so you have a real number. But right out of the box, you're not just pulling a number out of the air. You've got the lender data with a valuation model that needs to be adjusted for renovations and those things. We walk you through how to do that. The second thing is there are 0 unqualified buyers seeing your property, because we vet everybody. They've got to come through your preferred lender first. And that's where we get something out of this. There's no fees, there's no membership, there's no hook, there's no trick. We want to approve all your buyers. So you're only dealing with pre-approved buyers. And if they're approved with somebody else, that's fine. I don't care. They can send us their approval. We'll go through the approval to make sure it's solid, and then let you know these people are rock solid. Then the security thing, I'm very proud of this. If a buyer comes through the approval process, we let them know that you're going to request their ID when they get to your property. So some stranger's not showing up. You're talking only to approved buyers who have been fully vetted and identified before they get in your house. And then we've got the private open house strategy that prevents you from having to run all over town showing your property when you're at the kids' soccer game and I'm at the grocery store and, oh my God, we just sat down for dinner with some friends and now somebody wants to see my property. We take all of that off the table. So that being said, if any of those nightmares that you've heard are surrounding those 3 or 4 issues, they're addressed in there. But you've got to be cut out to do the negotiation and take the extra steps. And if you find the savings is worth it, fantastic. And if you don't, then you definitely could benefit from hiring a professional. And I would be thrilled to introduce you to a professional in your area if you don't already have one. If you do, fantastic. that might be the route for you. But if you're courageous enough to be a do-it-yourselfer and you're confident enough after reading the book that those issues are addressed, then maybe take that step. But like I said, guys, it's not for everybody. So I hope that helps. Appreciate that question, though. Hey, Jen, throw me another question if you can.
Here's a question from Joni. What's the difference between an equity conversion refinance and a reverse mortgage? They seem very similar.
Hey, Joni, you win the Inspector Clouseau. No, Inspector Clouseau. Was that Pink Panther? Anyway, well spotted. They're exactly the same. It's tomato. A reverse mortgage, the technical name is HECM, HECM, Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. So it's exactly the same loan program. Somebody's just referring to it with the technical name if they're calling it an equity conversion mortgage. But brilliant question and brilliant observation. Tomato, potato, HECM, reverse mortgage. No, equity conversion mortgage, reverse mortgage. Joni, thank you for that question. That was a great one. I appreciate it. Guys, you hear the music? You know what that means? That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show. Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and I'm going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you know any friends, family, coworkers, or the guy in front of you at the grocery line who's talking or thinking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to help me spread the word, introduce them to me, to the team. You can do that by simply sharing MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Now, back to the commercials.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Don't let realtor commissions eat away at your hard-earned equity. With FSBOzilla, you can save thousands by doing it yourself. Avoid the tire kickers and pushy realtors. Meet FSBOzilla, your free, no-strings-attached guide to selling your home by owner. You're a do-it-yourselfer, and we respect that. No more dealing with time wasters, tire kickers, or unqualified buyers, and definitely no more pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. With FSBOzilla, you won't have to worry about showing your home to unqualified time wasters. We help you navigate the for-sale by owner process safely and securely. FSBOzilla, the commission killer, putting the power back in your hands and the equity back in your pocket. Visit FSBOzilla.com today, FSBOzilla, because you can do it yourself and we're here to help. Check out FSBOzilla.com.
So you think interest rates have gotten too high to refi? Well, not so fast. There are several reasons people refinance. Sure, lowering your interest rate is one, but there's debt consolidation, home improvement, unexpected medical expenses, pulling out some equity to go buy an investment property. Heck, I even know of one guy who refinanced his house so he could buy his mistress a condo. But let's jump back to debt consolidation for a minute. I'm working with a client right now. His name is Ben. He's going to refinance his house, pay off a host of credit cards, and 2 truck payments. And yes, his mortgage interest rate is going to go up, but his monthly expenses are going to go down significantly. And that monthly savings is going to get he and his family back on track. Guys, if you've got questions, check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. I host the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are always here and happy to help. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you heard the man, 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292 is the Anytime hotline, and you can call or text that number with your questions, or head over to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. Click that email icon and you can send your questions to us via email. But I want to get as many questions on the air today as we can. I know we've got a couple more back there. So, Jen, throw me another question.
Lee wants to know, are there any no-doc loan options for a first-time buyer? This may sound crazy, but I make money selling on TikTok, so I don't have a real job. but I do make enough money to buy a house.
Hey, Lee, that is a great, great question. And my God, the pandemic, I believe, has created so much opportunity for people to generate income in what we consider non-traditional, or in your case, not a real job. So I've met some fascinating people who do everything from a car rental program that kind of acts like Uber, where they rent their personal vehicles out. And this guy was super industrious, and I think he had about 20 cars that he had created a fleet, and he was, serious income. And he relocated from California to Florida during the pandemic, but he kept all of those cars out there running on this app service, and he was going to do the same thing here in Florida. As a matter of fact, I'm going to shoot him an email when we get off the air, because he was a fascinating guy, and I'd love to see how it worked out for him. But we were able to use his income from California in Florida for him to purchase a property, because he demonstrated the ability to run that company basically on his phone. And guys, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of income. It was fascinating to me. And you couple that with what you're talking about here, Lee, with the TikTok shops. I can't even say that, but I'm just fascinated by the whole thing. I know a couple who sells jewelry on TikTok, and they do rather well. So I'm fascinated by the whole culture. And if you're claiming that income on your tax returns, then you can qualify via a full doc program, assuming you make enough income. But if you're not claiming it, and that's the challenge, then yes, there are some no income, no employment verification programs. And we talked a little bit about it last week, because one of the callers was gravitating towards the landlord loan, but his intention was to buy that as a primary residence. And if you missed last week's show, I cautioned against it, because that's occupancy fraud, and you can get in real trouble for doing that. But yes, there are no income, no employment verification loans for a primary residence. It acts a lot like the landlord loan in the sense that we're looking at your credit score and your assets. And in the case of this primary residence program, we're not looking at any income. In the case of the landlord loan, we're looking at the income from the rental property. So fascinating world we live in. I would love to talk to you more and learn about how you're making money on TikTok, because I am fascinated by the subculture of online businesses that have blossomed in the world of COVID. And guys, I'm looking at loan applications with significant incomes that people probably would have laughed at 5 years ago if you said, I'm going to start a business doing fill in the blank. There are some people out there really, side hustle has turned into a real opportunity in a lot of instances. So I find it fascinating, but I appreciate the question. Your question was great, and the answer is yes, there are no employment and no income verification loan programs for a primary residence. But hey, Jen, toss me another question.
Jacob emailed this. We are 2 weeks into the buy-owner process, and your office has been awesome. We're negotiating with a buyer now. I think we'll have a contract in a day or two. Just wanted to say thank you.
Hey, Jacob, you are welcome, my brother. And I think I know the property that you're selling. So that was a super, super cool house. I'm excited for you. Appreciate the shout out, if you will. All right, Jen, toss me another question.
Here's one from Dwayne. Can I buy a home with my parents? It's not a co-signer situation. It's a house we'll all be living in. I'm not sure if I'm explaining correctly.
Hey, Dwayne, that's a brilliant question, my man. Multi-generational housing, I believe, is a thing that is going to come back in style. And our culture is one of the few cultures that we push the kids out at 18 and I guess now at 30, some of the kids. But it's interesting. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're all going to buy this property and the family's all going to live together. And in that instance, yes, you could all qualify for it as a primary residence, benefit from the homestead exemption. So yes, you can definitely do that. You mentioned it's not a cosigner thing, but I do want to touch on that because a lot of parents are helping their children right now in one of two ways. They're either co-signing, which technically they're a non-occupying co-borrower, and they're just really trying to help their kids get started because they're fearful that they're going to miss out on the opportunity to own a home, because in spite of all the headlines, property values are sticking even at these higher interest rates. So we're seeing that, right? We're seeing the non-occupying co-borrower, or what we would call, I'm air quoting, co-sign. We also see gift funds to help children close. And then the one that fascinates me the most, that I believe we were one of the first people to talk about it, but there's nothing new under the sun. So I know it's not a new idea, but what I call the first home layaway program, where parents are pulling some equity out of their home, either with a home equity line of credit or a refinance. They're pulling that equity out, going out and buying an investment property, using the landlord loan because there's no personal income underwritten in the landlord loan, putting a tenant in that property so the property is generating rent each month while their child is growing up and going to middle school and high school and college, and whatever the scenario is, the sooner that you execute the plan, the probability of a large percentage of equity exists when your child is ready to move out on their own, and then you can sell the property, or they could sell the property to their child with a gift of equity. So we're seeing more and more interest in these creative ways to help the children get started. But to answer your question, if you all want to live together as one family, then you can certainly do that and all be on the loan, all be on the deed, and make it your primary residence. I'm hoping I understood that question correctly. I know I threw a little bit extra in there, but I wanted to cover those other points. So I appreciate that question. Hey, Jen, do you have another one back there?
Amanda wants to know, is it possible to finance a fixer-upper?
Hey, Amanda. Yes, indeed it is. Both as a primary residence and an investment property, there are a variety of loans where you can roll the repair costs in. And right now, today, that's not a bad option because the pretty houses are still selling rather quickly. The ones that need a little bit of work might be out there a little longer, and you might find some opportunity in those. So brilliant question. But to answer it, yes, indeed, there are loans for properties that need some work. Now, it depends on how much work, and we can dig into all that if you have specifics. But to answer your question, yes, you can. So I hope that helps. Hey, Jen, do you have another question?
Leo sent us an email. I've heard you mention before that we should ask the seller for a contribution instead of reducing the price. Can you explain this idea again?
Hey, Leo, that's a great question. And what I was alluding to is the reduction in the monthly payment is greater, a bigger reduction if you lower the interest rate, say by a point, than if you lower the sales price, say by $10,000. So I would love to walk you through specifics, but if you're trying to save on your monthly payment, often a contribution to buy your rate down is far more significant than offering that same amount of contribution in the form of a discount, if that makes sense. So a $300,000 property, hey, Mr. Seller, will you give me a $10,000 contribution? Versus, will you sell me the property for $290? You'll find more movement in your payment by buying the rate down with that 10 grand. So I hope that helps. But hey guys, you hear the music? Man, oh man, where does the time go? We have raced through another week here at the Mr. Mortgage Show. Guys, thanks for spending a bit of your day with us. If you would like to connect with Jen and I during the week, just visit MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. All our contact information is there. Otherwise, we will be back next week right here, same time, same station. Guys, have an amazing week. Be good.
That's a wrap. Join Mark Eitel next week for more thrilling, edge-of-your-seat discussions about real estate and mortgages, right here on The Mr. Mortgage Show.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and why do I hate the word sales associated with real estate mortgages? Guys, my job is not to sell you anything. I'm not trying to convince you to buy a house or to refinance a house. What I am trying to do is help you make the very best real estate and mortgage decisions after you've decided it's something you want to do. Guys, think of me as the trainer in the gym. You've already decided that you want to get healthy. You are committed, and then you engage that trainer. That trainer's not standing out in front of the ice cream shop trying to convince people to get healthy. Guys, I'm here. I'm happy to help. I'll answer any questions you have, and I'll help you get it over the finish line, whether you're trying to acquire that very first house or the next office building. Guys, I've been doing it for a long time. I love what I do, and I'm happy to help. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com. Again, it's MrMortgageRadio.com. It's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.